Red Dead Redemption 2 is truly an achievement in game design. Still, that doesn't mean it's not without its flaws. Some are a little annoying, some are straight frustrating, and some occasionally make us want to use our controllers as clay pigeons. Rockstar Games made just about everything in Red Dead Redemption 2 rewarding, but that doesn't change how many things feel like chores. You'll even find that riding your horse requires you to hold a button down the entire time, or time button presses to gallop for maximum efficiency. That is unless you use the auto-ride feature, which puts the camera into a sort of cinematic mode and instantly points your character in the direction of the waypoint you set. The problem is, the world of Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't care if you're auto-riding while sitting in front of the TV, or if you've gone to make yourself a sandwich while your character is in transit. It keeps on living. The bad guys still want to kill you, and the natural obstacles don't just disappear. If you set yourself to auto-ride and walk away, you shouldn't be entirely surprised if you come back and find you're dead. Rival gangs still roam the lands and trails in Red Dead 2, and the law is still on the lookout if you have outstanding bounties. You may believe you found some loophole that lets you catch up on some email while Arthur or John make their way across the map to the mission target, but really, all you're doing is leaving yourself vulnerable to attack. Thanks, Rockstar.
Wow. Thank you. Wow, thanks so much.
Unless you were fortunate enough to use some kind of gold bar exploit, money is extremely hard to come by early on in Red Dead Redemption 2. Your share of gang robberies is pretty paltry. It seems like anyone you hold up yourself is poor as hell, and if you want your character to wear some nicer clothes or shoot some nicer guns, you're gonna have to spend that dough like a big boy. Which is why it's wholly frustrating to be robbed totally blind without being able to hunt down the jerks who stole from you like the animals they are.
Hey friend, come here a minute, trust me. You wanna hear this. I promise. You gonna wanna hear this.
This happens a couple of times in Saint Denis. Some sketchy dude will call you over, you'll follow him down an alley, his ruffian friends will knock you out from behind, and when you come to, you'll find that, surprise, your cash has been swiped. Of course, the bad dudes who assaulted you have expectedly peaced out, and no amount of hunting will lead you to their doorstep. That money is just gone forever. You'll never get to exact your revenge, and if you had plans for how you were going to spend that money, well, too bad, sucker.
Didn't your mama warn you about following strangers? Come on, let's see what he's got.
To put so much time into growing your wealth only for it to be gone in an instant is always enough to send you into a fit of rage.
Give me back my money!
Even the most diehard Red Dead Redemption 2 fans will admit that Rockstar may have tried to do a little too much with the game. There are unique actions for almost anything you can do. Controller buttons perform those different actions depending on the situation. It's entirely possible to take a step back and see the same button now does something totally different, just because you're standing next to a drawer, or a person you can interact with, or your horse. For reasons that are unknown and reasons that make Red Dead 2 players want to hurl themselves off a cliff, Rockstar mapped the action for getting on your horse to the same buttons as the one you use to tackle someone. If you're in a crowded town and someone happens to be standing next to your horse, you can understand why this might have some unintended consequences.
What's the idea? Damnation!
All you wanted to do is saddle up and get to the next mission in peace, but RDR2's controls have something else in mind. Namely, an unwanted fight leading to the popo on your tail. It's infuriating, and you'd be totally justified in shutting the game down so you can call off. Or, you know, just taking out the whole town. Red Dead Redemption 2 is overflowing with missions, side quests, and mysteries. Not only that, the game encourages you to explore every nook and cranny. You can log every animal species into a database. You can craft items from their hides. You can play for probably 100 hours and never finish everything. But some people like to try by revisiting the game's world after they get through the main story campaign. Unfortunately, there's a problem with that approach. You see, Red Dead Redemption 2 wisely built most of its side quests so that John Marston could complete them, even after Arthur died in the campaign.
Years ago, a friend of mine helped you retrieve your horse. You became friends?
Oh yeah, Arthur. Yeah.
But there are some quests that are meant for Arthur only, specifically the ones that take place while the gang is hiding out at various campsites throughout the story. When the location of camp moves, these quests disappear, and they can no longer be played again unless you start an entirely new story playthrough. Basically, if you're a completionist and you didn't finish everything in Arthur's story, you'll have to start over. And if you thought it was a slog the first time, just wait until you have to do it again. Red Dead Redemption 2 does a lot of things right. Say what you will about the length of the story, but it's truly moving and does a great job as a prequel, setting up the events of 2010's Red Dead Redemption. You also have to credit the attention to detail in every little thing the game shows off, living or not. It takes video game realism to another level, but there's a good chance you'll never see another game hit this bar until Rockstar makes some sort of follow-up. But goodness gracious, are Red Dead 2's controls god-awful or what? Whether you're playing as Arthur Morgan or John Marston, it doesn't matter. They both move like they have cinder blocks strapped to their feet. Everyone laughed at The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for bragging about the intelligence of its horses, but we promise, you won't be laughing once your horse in Red Dead Redemption 2 rams into a damn tree or a freaking rock for the 100th time. All throughout Red Dead Redemption 2, the gang is on the run, trying to scrape enough money together to eventually make an escape and live free of the law. But it doesn't always go to plan. Things go wrong, heists get foiled, and the gang is forced to move from one makeshift camp to another, with everyone doing their best to gather enough resources and come up with enough cash to survive.
So, what are we doing next, Dutch?
We just need money.
Just kidding. Actually, it's your character that seems to be doing all of the heavy lifting. You're the best shot, so you're always sent on every mission as protection. And not only that, everyone relies on you to stock the camp with food, and find medicine, and purchase enough ammunition for everyone to keep their weapons loaded. You're also apparently the main source of income. When you stop by the camp's money box and make a deposit, you'll often find that everyone is donating cents at a time, while you're bankrolling the entire operation. Everyone else dallies around. Dutch reads his philosophy books, and you're doing all the hard work. It'll make you angry every time you open the ledger.
Where's the money? He hit me! Where's the money?
There's nothing worse in a video game than babysitting missions. You might remember having to guard Natalia in GoldenEye 007. It was the absolute worst. It takes those kind of companions to appreciate the useful ones, like Elizabeth in BioShock Infinite, who tosses you ammo, opens tears, and manages to keep herself alive. If Elizabeth can survive without your help, why can't your gang members in Red Dead Redemption 2? Dutch's gang is a bunch of rough and tumble badasses. Elizabeth is basically a Disney princess. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, it damn well doesn't.
When a gunfight breaks out, you have enough to worry about. You're usually taking cover behind something, trying to shoot down enemies without getting pumped full of lead yourself. The least your fellow bandits can do is hold their own and stay alive long enough for the mission to end. Apparently that's too much to ask. If you aren't keeping a watchful eye on these so-called killers, acting as a chaperone while also thinning the herd of hostiles, they'll inevitably be shot to death, and you'll have to start all over. Please, don't make us babysit our allies in games.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I'm not a real babysitter.
For all of the realism you'll find in Red Dead Redemption 2, there are a couple of things that ask you to suspend disbelief. The game encourages you to eat regularly, for instance, in order to keep your health and stamina up. But you can play the entire game without eating a single thing. You can lose your hat in a heated battle, leaving it on the ground as you walk or ride away. Yet somehow that hat always seems to find its way back into your horse's satchel. But those are tiny things. The fact that enemies can take multiple shots and act like they don't feel a thing, that's a pretty huge leap in logic. We get that it's a video game and one-shot kills might make gunplay pretty boring, but this is a game that leans in to make everything else so lifelike. Your horse gets tired if you ride too far, while enemies can soak up bullets like it's no big deal. It's complete nonsense. Let's get one thing straight. The shooting in Red Dead Redemption 2 is pretty awful. It's hard to aim properly. Your targeting is easily knocked off every time you get hit by an enemy, and those opposing gunfighters are incredibly squirrely behind cover. Fortunately, Red Dead 2's Deadeye system helps level the playing field. It slows down time, giving you an opportunity to hit moving targets more easily and shoot far more accurately. It's a godsend. But here's a problem. Deadeye charges slowly. If you run out of the consumables needed to recharge it quickly, you'll be in a really bad spot when a shootout occurs. It also seems to happen at the worst time. You'll be getting flanked both left and right, trying to peek out and gun down enemies who never seem to provide an opening. Because the shooting in the game is so bad, you're bound to lose your life a few times simply trying to land a shot or two. And because you're out of Deadeye consumables, you'll meet this same fate over and over. The official end of Red Dead Redemption 2's epilogue is immensely satisfying. If you're like most people, you go through Arthur's story absolutely hating Micah. When you learn he's a source of most of the gang's misery, you hate him even more.
You pick your side now because this is over. Oh, them years, Dutch. For this snake.
And long after Arthur's past, when you get to play as John Marston and deliver sweet justice to Micah, it all feels worth it. But wow, the fight up to the mountain to reach Micah's cabin in the epilogue will make you angrier than any video game has any right to. For some reason, Rockstar thought it would be totally fine to send you up a mountainside with zero cover. Meanwhile, every single one of Micah's men, random goons that shouldn't be that great at handling a gun, suddenly become expert marksmen. They can somehow see you coming around a bend before you even get there, and once they're able to train their sights on you, there's not a whole lot you can do to respond. You'll likely die a whole lot trying to survive the game's final mission. Just remember it's fine to take a break, and no, by take a break, we don't mean snapping the disc in two. Unless you downloaded it, in which case,
Burn the console.
check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more SVG videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.